Hello, today we are going to talk about a new drug called the Cobenfy. It's a drug to cure schizophrenia. And this is the list of our group members.
To understand why this drug is such a breakthrough, we must look at the battlefield of schizophrenia. Roughly 24 million people worldwide suffer from this disease. For decades, the public focused on positive symptoms like hallucinations and delusions, but schizophrenia is actually a devastating trait which includes negative and cognitive symptoms. Traditional drugs target a signal mechanism, the dopamine 2 receptor. Every antipsychotic on the market from 1950s Herapoid to 1990s olanzapine acts as a molecular brake on dopamine. While this quiets hallucinations, it leaves negative and cognitive symptoms untouched. Patients are left stable but trapped, unable to hold conversations or live independently. We haven't been curing a disease, we've been managing a crisis. This global dopamine blockade also acts a heavy physical toll. First generation drugs frequently cause debilitating motor issues like tardive dyskinesia. Second generation drugs trade those for metabolic risks, massive weight gain, and diabetes. Clinicians call it stability, but patients describe it as feeling zombified. We're asking human beings to accept profound physical illness as the price for psychological sanity.
Just when we thought we had reached the limits of treatment, here it comes. In late 2024, the FDA approved a new drug called Cobenfy, which is our main character today. Its arrival isn't just a new option on the market. It represents the first major breakthrough in over 30 years. Wesley's considered major medical breakthrough spanning over 3 decades. Story begins in the late 1980s. Cobenfy marks the arrival of a third generation of medications for schizophrenia. Its predecessor, a class of atypical antipsychotics, successfully addressed the extrapyramidal symptoms, such as physical stiffness associated with first-generation drugs. However, the second generation still poses significant challenges by impacting the metabolic system, often resulting in sudden weight gain and hyperlipidemia. In contrast, the current third generation breakthrough charting a completely new therapeutic pathway, effectively overcoming the limitations of both its predecessors.
If it doesn't block dopamine, how exactly does Cobenfy work? This is where the brilliance of this new drug lies. The answer is it shifts its target to another crucial network in the brain, the cholinergic systems. Imagine the brain as an orchestra during a psychotic episode. The dopamine instruments are playing far too loud. Traditional drugs essentially pull the plug on the speakers. Yes, it quiets the hallucinations, but it also drowns the patient's energies, leaving them rich and sluggish. Cobenfy, on the other hand, acts like a smart sound engineer. It doesn't find dopamine directly. Instead, it activates the N1 and N4 muscarinic receptors. In the brain, activated N1 is like restoring clarity to the mind, helping to improve cognitive functions. Meanwhile, activated N4 triggers a built-in negative feedback mechanisms in the neural circuits. This means it gently and indirectly signals the brain to calm down, silences the abnormal signals that cause hallucinations and delusions right from the source. This is the magic behind how it controls the disease without triggering the traditional side effects.
Cobenfy is a powerful example of how thoughtful drug design can solve complex biological problems. The story begins with xenomonide, a drug that showed strong effects in the brain by activating muscarinic receptors involved in cognition and psychiatric symptoms. From a neuroscience perspective, xenomonide was promising. However, it came with a serious drawback. Those same muscarinic receptors are also abundant in the gastrointestinal tract. When xenomonide activated them outside the brain, patients experienced severe side effects such as nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. These side effects were so strong that they limited the drug's clinical use despite its effectiveness in the brain. Rather than discarding xenomonide, scientists took a more strategic approach. They paired it with trospium, a compound specifically chosen because it cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. This property is crucial. Trospium works only in the peripheral nervous system, where it blocks muscarinic receptors in organs like the gut. This creates a clever division of labor. Xenomonide acts in the brain to deliver therapeutic benefit, while trospium stays outside the brain to block unwanted peripheral effects. Instead of weakening the drug, the design controls where the drug can act. Cobenfy demonstrates that modern pharmacology is not just about stronger molecules, but about smarter combinations that use anatomy and physiology to their advantage.
This design achieved incredible success in the emergent clinical trials. Data shows that Cobenfy not only significantly reduced patients' hallucination and delusion scores, but most excitingly, the dreaded side effects of traditional drugs. Massive weight gain and movement disorders were virtually absent in patients taking Cobenfy. Its side effects are mostly limited to mild, temporary GI discomfort, providing its exceptional safety and tolerability.
As soon as the drug was launched, it attracted significant attention from doctors and researchers. Many psychiatrists describe it as a completely new approach to treating mental illness. Cobenfy is beginning to reshape psychiatric care, and its success has encouraged pharmaceutical companies to look beyond traditional dopamine-based treatments. Researchers are now even investigating whether similar drugs could be used to treat conditions such as Alzheimer's disease.
Alright, so after hearing all the great things about this drug, it probably sounds amazing, like the perfect solution, right? But honestly, even though it looks flawless on the surface, it still comes with some real-world challenges and limitations. So first of all, let's talk about the money. The cost is just insane, and it's a huge barrier for a lot of people. Right now, the US list price is $1,850 a month. When you convert that to New Taiwan dollars, it's over 58,000 NTD every single month. For most families, that is a massive financial burden, making it super hard for patients to actually get this treatment, even if they really need it. So moving on, besides the price tag, another big worry is that we don't really have enough long-term data yet. Get this, the main clinical trials only lasted for 5 weeks. That is a super short. Because of that, we're left with very limited long-term evidence. We're still figuring out how well it actually works in the real world over time. and we honestly don't know if there are any rare hidden side effects. Plus, we still need more proof to see if it can really prevent relapses or help with long-term cognitive outcomes. So we definitely need to be careful here. So finally, this drug is not for everyone. There are some strict rules on who can actually take it. For starters, it's a big no for children and teenagers. Also, patients with moderate to severe liver or kidney problems can take it because of safety risks. And lastly, if someone has issues like urinary retention or glaucoma, they should completely avoid it too. So at the end of the day, doctors really have to do their homework and screen patients carefully before giving them this treatment.
I want to talk about is a hope to return to life. First, paradigm shift. Breaking a 30-year monopoly, it introduces a pioneering mechanism that completely bypasses dopamine receptor. This clinical milestone proves we can successfully treat psychosis without forcing patients into a chemical promises. Second, dignity by design. Redefining tolerability. A smart dual-action formulation neutralizes debilitating side effects while protecting the brain. This design preserves the patient's cognitive clarity and physical autonomy, restoring the individual, not just treating the symptoms. Third, the ripple effect. Healing beyond the patient. Seamless, long-term treatment complies significantly alleviates the chronic emotional and financial caregivers. It transforms clinical success into a realistic pathway for entire families to safely reintegrate into society. Thank you for listening.